You ever get those ridiculous social media scams where people pretend to be somebody you're friends with and tell you you can make a lot of money? I know I do. It's why I'm very excited to partner with today's sponsor, Aura. Aura is an easy-to-use app that essentially packages a bunch of services to stay safe online all in one. Aura protects you from scammers and hackers. They scan the web for all sorts of data leaks and alert you as soon as they find anything. Aura is like the offensive line for a quarterback, consistently offering you protection from suspicious and malicious activity. They have a VPN built in that keeps your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. They'll even alert you if someone's trying to open up a credit card or a loan in your name. Did I mention they protect all your devices from viruses, malware, spyware, and any other things so the bad guys can't break in? Aura can even manage what your kids do on their devices. You can set limits and restrict them from specific apps. They have a password manager as well, so you don't have to rely on an outdated Rolodex or that sticky note that's been on your desk forever. There are apps that do all of these things, but there isn't one that tackles everything the way Aura does, which is why I say Aura is a 5-man offensive line and you're the quarterback. So head on over to aura.com/JKB. You can find it in the description and start your free trial today. What up, folks? So, yeah, I had to go live. We finally got news. We finally have confirmed official. Well, I don't even know what is going on with the comments there, but it's finally official. Mike LaFleur is officially the offense coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. For those asking, no, he will not be calling the plays. Sean McVay is still going to be doing that. But yeah, now we have some clarity, and I think things will start to progress moving forward. I think more coaches will now be interested or not interested, depending on how they feel about this fit. And yeah, it's a really good thing, I think, for the Rams, because first off, you look at the running backs and just, what Mike LaFleur has meant for running backs. I mean, just the production that he's gotten, out of them, not just as, carrying the ball, but also, in the passing game. Look, I understand there are a lot of Jets fans that don't like him, and I think they are justified to an extent. But keep in mind, I also covered the Jets this year. I watched every single game, and I can tell you, I think he was more scapegoated than people gave it credit for. I think in a lot of aspects, you look at Mike LaFleur as a guy that, look, they really were not too impressed with Zach Wilson's development. They didn't think he took a step this year, and so that kind of was falling on him. Well, he's coming to the Rams, and he's not going to be the play caller, so that's off his plate, one. And two, keep this in mind, and this is important. Number two is that, look, he's not going to be dealing with a young quarterback he has to develop. He's going to be dealing with Matthew Stafford, right? A veteran who, is pretty well established at this point in time. So I think that bodes well. There are two things that are off his plate. He doesn't have to worry about the stress. He has called plays. If he needs to do that, he can do that. But it's not anything to really worry about. And so I just want to take you through the numbers again. If you don't remember, I put out a tweet on the 13th suggesting the idea that, look, Mike LaFleur and Frank Reich would make a lot of sense. Reich is now the head coach. Shout out to him. Pretty big deal. He's now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. But, basically last year, running back receiving numbers under these coaches, Sean McVay, running backs had 49 receptions, 361 yards, 0 touchdowns, and averaged 7.36 yards per reception. Mike LaFleur's running backs, 87 receptions out of the backfield, 699 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging 8.03 yards per reception. That's the best among all the 4 I mentioned, Frank Reich and Cliff Kingsbury included. So let's talk about it. What does Mike LaFleur bring to the table? Mike LaFleur comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree. He comes from the Kyle Shanahan offense. He's going to bring that type of style. And I think since he's not calling the plays, this is very much Sean McVay reaching out saying, hey, I'm not going to give up play calling, okay? But I want to evolve. I want to get better. I want to learn. And so I think, for a guy that is very pass happy, and we can all agree on that, I think all of us have been pretty open about our thoughts on that and how they need to run the ball more. I think he's at least doing his due diligence, going out and getting a guy who's going to focus more on the running backs, have that, whisper in his ear, so to speak. So, I like it. I like the move a lot, actually. I think this is stock up for Cam Akers, who already had a stock up to begin with. And I think it's a big stock up for Kyron Williams and whoever else they draft. I think they're going to take a running back, probably 5 to 7 round running back or a UDFA, have him compete with Ronnie Rivers as the third guy. And I think that's what's going to be the running back room. When you look at the Jets and how this can kind of translate, first off, go and look at the offense. If you want to say, hey, he was bad with the Jets, first off, he's not calling plays. Second, he wasn't that bad. And when you really think about it, before Breece Hall gets hurt, who was arguably the best running back in football when he got hurt, was leading the league in rushing before he tore his ACL, that was a top 10 offense. And that offense was basically masquerading with the 2-quarterback thing. They started off the season with Joe Flacco for the first 3 games because the injury to Zach Wilson preseason. Then Zach Wilson comes in, and they're still a top 10 offense. It wasn't until Breece Hall went down where all of a sudden, okay, this offense is definitely missing something. And I think it was a lot of pressure to put on LaFleur. Also dealt with injuries. No one wants to talk about that. Corey Davis, injured. Elijah Moore had a weird moment where he wanted to be traded, and even though they were winning games, it was just a lot to handle this year. Not to mention the offense, the offensive line. Everyone talks about the Jets offensive line, they're not very good. It's Jets, so they don't have a good offensive line. Sorry, Elijah Vera Tucker was playing damn good football. Dwayne Brown came back, and when he got healthy, he looked good. They had George Fant. They had McGovern. The only guy that really felt like he consistently struggled all year long when he was in the lineup was Laken Tomlinson. So a really bad, unfortunately thing for them is they put money into him and all that. But yeah, guys, I just got to say that, if you got to have context behind it, right? And so I think that's really important. Don, thank you so much for donating. Hey, JE, prediction for the Rams record 2023. I think they'll go back to winning about 11, 12 games as of right now. I have no idea what they're going to do. But as of right now, with this team, the way I am expecting it to be, I think 11 to 12 wins, potentially winning the division, definitely being in the playoffs again. I think that's definitely a fair, prediction. Holden, thank you so much for donating, my man. Much love, my guy. Keep doing your thing. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I felt like we had to go live. It's a Friday. I feel like more people are more down for a live stream during a Friday, during this time of the day. For most people, they're either getting up or, most of the, I know my audience, right? I know my, what the hell is the word? The demographics. And so I know a lot of people are from LA that watch this channel. And, I know a lot of you guys, it's the morning, it's like 10, 11 right now, which is my birthday, fun fact. But no, I feel like this is a good time because if you're on the East Coast, then this is like around, lunchtime, probably getting, some opportunity. And then for, LA, kind of the morning-ish time. So I did not mention Mike White. Mike White, I actually don't think he gets credit for enough credit for. I thought he played really well before he got hurt with the rib injury, but I do think Mike LaFleur deserves credit for that. I think the thing with Mike LaFleur's play calling is no, it's not my birthday today. It's 10/11, so October 11th. Sorry, I wanted to address that. But yeah, going back to the Mike White thing, I don't think he gets enough credit for that because it's all like fine and dandy. But then when Mike White fell off, it was, oh, well, he can't do it, yada, 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 whatever. And let's be honest here. Is that really fair? Like, he took Mike White and Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson back-to-back seasons. Okay. He never had one quarterback. Okay, they had to play Zach Wilson. I went on multiple Jets shows and said, do not play Zach Wilson in the preseason. He will get hurt and you will be upset. And sure enough, that's what happened. Literally what I said would happen, happened. They just got lucky. But he was playing with a lot of different injuries. So you have him. You have Joe Flacco, who's age, 39. Then you have Mike White. So it wasn't a ton of, opportunity, in my opinion, for LaFleur at the quarterback position. You're banged up on the offensive line. Like I said, you had a wide receiver who didn't even want to play for your team, who you didn't trade away. Corey Davis, he's always hurt. So there was a lot of different things that happened for the Jets. Their defense is great, and so that's why they decided to, kind of move on and try to go out and get a guy like, Nathaniel Hackett, who has he's had some really good years as an offensive play caller. This was the first time in Mike LaFleur's career that he had been the offensive play caller, because it had been Kyle Shanahan with the Niners those 4 years that he was there. So, I think, at least for me, I think this is incredibly interesting, and I think you bring up a point because, the Rams are going to be interested in a backup quarterback, and I don't think Mike White is going to command top dollar. Would not be surprised if Mike White is the Rams' backup quarterback. I mean, he and LaFleur had an understanding with each other. They had a rapport, and it wasn't Zach Wilson. Like, Zach Wilson and him butted heads, essentially, quote unquote. But Mike White, yeah, I think you're onto something there, Egbert Mandingo. I definitely think you're onto something there. I could see Mike White coming to the Rams as the backup for Matthew Stafford if Baker goes and finds a starting quarterback job or whatever. I could see that. Would not rule that out. It would be, but that's a guy that has played he's had good moments, so I wouldn't be against that. I'd actually be for it, depending on the money. I mean, the Rams aren't going to spend top dollar on a backup, but keep in mind, and we can go through it right now. I mean, I have no issue bringing up Mike White's games that he started right now, because I would just rather have all the information in front of me than just go off the top of my head, which I can go off the top of my head. I do it a lot, but, in this case, okay, so the Bears game, right? 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 78% completion percentage, 315 yards. Say what you will about the Bears, but 149.3 passer, quarterback rating or passer rating, whatever, is fantastic. In addition to that, he had the Vikings game. Yes, he threw 2 interceptions, but he threw for 369 yards, and the game-winning touchdown was dropped by Braxton Berrios in the middle of the end zone. So, I mean, wasn't bad there. The Bills game, he wasn't horrible in the Bills game either. I thought, the Bills game, they should have won. He went 27-44 for 268 yards. Tough defense to play against. Had a hard time, just wasn't really protected. And then the Seattle game is when it all came down to it. He played injured, I believe, in the Bills game. Seattle, he was completely injured, shouldn't have played. So that's my thoughts on, I don't think Mike White's fantastic. For his career, 62.2 completion percentage isn't awful, 2,145 yards, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. But, I mean, look what he did with Chicago. Look what he did against Minnesota. The 2 interceptions suck, but he had them in that game. I don't know. I think, this is somebody that with the Rams offense, with the Rams weapons, with the Sean McVay and Mike LaFleur connection, I think Mike White would be a solid backup. He's not somebody you want to start. He's not a starting quarterback, but as a backup, I don't hate it. I don't. And, I think they're going to draft somebody, if I'm being quite honest. I think it could be, and I don't know who it's going to be, right? But I think it could be a guy like I mentioned Stetson Bennett in the past. People laugh, but I feel like that's where they're looking, right? They're looking at, they're going to draft a quarterback, I think. I think it's going to be mid-round, a Stetson Bennett, maybe Hendon Hooker, depending on how low he falls. But, that's kind of where I'm at this point. I think Mike LaFleur, though, makes a lot of sense. And obviously that's why the Rams went ahead and got him. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because Sean McVay isn't getting a play caller. Okay. Sean McVay is getting somebody who's going to be in his ear, somebody that's going to make him better, teach him and all that. And he could teach a lot to Mike LaFleur, but one thing Mike LaFleur can help Sean McVay with is managing the damn running backs. I've posted it multiple times, the numbers. It's huge to have him in the building. Absolutely huge. And again, people will bring up, oh, well, he had the whole fight with Elijah Moore. Why is Elijah Moore getting the benefit of the doubt there? Why is Elijah Moore getting the benefit of the doubt? He acted like a locker room cancer. When they won, they were 7-3. And he's, moaning and complaining essentially about not getting targets. But I didn't hear one word about Allen Robinson, despite the fact the Rams are losing games. They're not 7-3. They're like 3-7. Allen Robinson isn't getting the targets, and you don't hear a damn word. And Allen Robinson is a established wide receiver. He's had 1,400 yards in a season in this league with Blake Bortles. So I don't know. I see guys like Allen Robinson who don't make a peep. And then I see guys like Elijah Moore who had one, he might be good type of year, and he still couldn't stay healthy. And he's still, moaning and complaining and all that. That is not the look. That is not the got you moment. That's not the own that you think it is. And so I don't look at any of the LaFleur stuff with Elijah Moore and take Moore's side. I just don't. It's not because he's a Ram, because quite honestly, it doesn't matter. I just think it's stupid. Like, I'm over the whole, it's like, the we not me approach is the right approach. I don't want a receiver. It's why people are like, oh, you don't want Diggs on the Rams? No, I don't want Diggs on the Rams. I don't want to give up a ton of picks. Awesome. Just threw my wallet on the ground for no reason. I don't want to give up a ton of picks to get a guy who, let's be honest here, has now had 2 instances where he's freaked out, on his team. And, he's not satisfied with having Josh Allen. I don't know. I don't want to get a guy like that. So, Raheem right now is the defensive coordinator. He has not been hired yet. The Panthers hired Reich. The Colts are still looking for the head coach. Yeah, that's basically what's going on. We'll see what ends up happening. I'll definitely, do something about that, but McVay hires Marcus Brady if Robinson or Brown take an OC job. I could see that. Yeah, I'm also, and I'll go on record saying this, I feel like this was Sean McVay thinking it over past this year. Well, we won't know for sure, but I feel like this offseason or all that talk was about Sean McVay either stepping away or wanting to continue. I don't think he's just coming back for a year. I don't think that's the deal. I think behind closed doors, the Rams feel a little bit more confident that he'll be back past just this year. So I don't think it's just he might leave within, I think he might be staying longer than people realize. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the sense I get. Cooper Kupp's great. Yeah, the only problem is, what is the market? Because the Rams, I've already been told the Rams aren't going to spend top dollar on a backup quarterback. They don't look at it like that. They'd be fine trying to develop somebody, whether that's Perkins or drafting somebody. Maybe they sign somebody, but it wouldn't be Garoppolo could start in this league. He may not be your favorite quarterback, but Garoppolo could get a starting, gig somewhere. And so I think it's going to be more than that personally. Jake, we for sure need a good DB coach. I wonder if Cooley got the short end of the stick with that, since McVay moved Chris Shula to DB coach for the first time in his career, and DBs look bad. Yeah. It's tough, right? Because it's we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't really know how that whole thing went, how it transpired, and if he's, guilty of most of it or whatever. But yeah, I felt bad for Cooley. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's a young coach and he's bright, exciting. A lot of people like him. So he'll find a job and he'll figure it out. But yeah, just one of those things, unfortunately. Better pick up that wallet, Jake. We know how things mysteriously disappear in that room. All right, fine. Don't yell at me. Yeah, it was in the crack of something. It was yeah, there it is. All right. Yeah, let's move that over. All right, cool. So, question. I know this is old, but with Odell as a free agent, do you think we sign him? Do you think we trade Allen Robinson? It may be old, but it's relevant, and I think the Rams are going to go after OBJ again. OBJ, fun fact, has not played for an NFL team other than the Rams since the last game he played. Right, the last game he played was with the Rams in the Super Bowl. Keep that in mind. He never returned. So he never technically left the Rams. He never returned to football. He didn't technically leave the Rams. So I love it. I'm hoping he comes back. I think, my jersey's sitting over there collecting dust. But no, in all honesty, though, I think he fits that offense like a glove. I think he and Stafford had a great rapport, and, I just think he makes a lot of sense if they can get him on a manageable deal. But it's tough. I mean, now he's a guy removed off of the season where he didn't play at all. That's a real thing, There's more clarity for sure, but, that's my vibe. They'll be in play. They'll give it a shot. They're not going to pay him top dollar. So if he can get top dollar somewhere else, which I don't know if he can, I don't know because I just don't know, right? Like, I don't know how that's going to go. But if he can't get top dollar, then maybe the Rams are the fit again and he comes back. So apparently Reuben Foster is attempting to return to an NFL field after a serious knee injury, and he will sign with the Pittsburgh Maulers. Very interesting. That's a name to look out for. Reuben Foster. Wow, what a throwback. That's true. Yeah, because Cam had to pick 3. Here's my thing. 23 is such a badass number. I don't have to tell you. LeBron James, Jordan, Don Mattingly. I don't know why you would move off of 23. Odell will probably be 13, though, if anything. Man, does it look like it's not just me, right? The Eagles, I don't know if anyone saw the Eagles play. Hassan Reddick, I've been talking about like crazy. The Rams absolutely should have signed him instead of waiting for Von Miller to make his decision, ultimately not be the Rams. But did you guys see Hassan Reddick wears number 7? Like Michael Vick's 7 on the Eagles. Like, I understand you can't retire it. He wasn't there that long, but he was so dominant. It's weird to me, man. It's weird seeing number 7 on the Eagles rushing the passer, first off, but second, just seeing it in general. I don't know. I saw it the other day. I was like, I was weirded out. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty weird. Wow. We're halfway. We're almost at 200 viewers. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, also known as the like button. I'm going to do the usual because it's been working decently. But let's see. Sign Mike White and draft Stetson Bennett. What do you think, Jake the Snake? Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds like a potential move, honestly. I think I could see that, I've seen the dots being connected to Hackett, Rodgers, and OBJ to the Jets. But OBJ doesn't have any connection to Hackett, right? Because Hackett was with the Bills. Because Hackett started his origin comes from the Doug Marrone tree. He joined Doug Marrone as the offensive coordinator at Syracuse. Then he followed Marrone to the NFL. He was with the Bills. Then Marrone gets let go by the Bills. And then he goes to the Jaguars, which then Hackett follows. He has a bad year and then a top 5 offense here, which with what's his face? God, I forget his name. Blake Bortles. And then after he gets fired, or no, he doesn't get fired from the Jags, or he might have, but then the Packers get him. And then for the most part, he kind of turns around. Aaron Rodgers, after 2019, Aaron Rodgers, don't forget, like, wasn't even sure if he wanted to play anymore. So what's up, A-Dog? Yeah, day's good. You know, I actually just copped Zelda Breath of the Wild, so I'll be playing that at some point. You know, just let's see. I did that. I've been having some of this Snapple. My throat's all weird this morning, or this afternoon. So, and it hasn't gotten better since this morning, so that's why I probably sound as weirder. But I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what's up, you know. So yeah, just I saw this news. I figured, all right, let's go live. We didn't go live right after the news. It wasn't like a player acquisition or anything like that, so that's pretty much why. Thank you so much for becoming a bronze member. Really appreciate you. Egbert, Mandingo, and Craig, thank you so much as well for becoming a bronze member. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate you. So Stetson in the 5th round actually feels like a good move, honestly. Say you get him with the Austin Corbett compensatory pick. I'm actually not against that, believe it or not. Why did the Rams trade Woods for Robinson? Didn't work out as an upgrade. Well, they got Robinson, and then they traded Woods to free up space, which then I think pretty much led to Bobby Wagner. Yeah, I see what they were doing. They were trying to diversify their wide receiver room because they had too many of the same type of receiver. But it just didn't really work out. I don't know if they'll stick with it, but Allen Robinson's money is going to be expensive. So I don't know, man. I don't know what they'll do. It's weird. I kind of like the single digit, it depending on the player. And I'm not even saying that Hassan Reddick doesn't work in 7. I'm just saying that with Michael Vick being notoriously known for wearing 7, it's so weird to me that he wore 7 with the Eagles. The Eagles haven't changed anything about their uniforms, and Hassan Reddick is wearing 7. I don't know. Can you send that tweet to me, Dr. Dingus? I haven't seen it. Or just like copy and paste it into the chat. That'd be great. I like the LaFleur hire. Just need him and McVay to brainstorm in a major way. Agree with that. The idea of moving on from A-Rob is disappointing, but probably the right move. Sco can give you a lot of what A-Rob... Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think Sco kind of showed you a little bit of that. Alexis has been saying it on DTR. Like, this guy, can be utilized more as kind of a jump ball, type of guy, deep threat, and he's not super fast, but he doesn't have to be. And he created a ton of separation last year. So there's that. Just want to remind everyone, this channel is now sponsored by mintmobile.com/JKB and aura.com/JKB. If you're looking for premium wireless mobile service, you can head on over to mintmobile.com/JKB. And, it's starting as low as $15 a month for premium wireless. Got, mobile unlimited. It's got 5G and wire, the hotspot and everything. So that's great. And then with Aura, for those of you who have no idea what Aura is, essentially Aura is a company that is actually sponsored. They sponsor the Minnesota Timberwolves uniforms. So you'll see it on like an Aura patch on their uniforms. But Aura essentially is like an offensive line. There's like 5 different things that they do, or 6 different things that they do. They protect you, whether, somebody's trying to break into your bank account or whatever, they're using your passwords, you need some security online with a VPN. Hey, you need an antivirus software that works really quickly and efficiently. They got you. So check out aura.com/JKB. Both links are in the description. Really, really supports the channel. If you're interested in checking those out, that's definitely, the way to go. So, those are our sponsors and appreciate them. Let's see here. Posted in Discord. It's nothing serious though, but interesting. Someone that's close to OBJ would say that. Also could be creating a market for him. That's true. That is true. The Rams should hire Kurt Warner as quarterback coach. You know who I'm interested in? I'm kind of interested in Kurt Benkert. If he's done with football, I'd be interested in see if he wants to be a coach. I don't know. I like that guy. I feel like, I could see him. It'd be interesting if he would come into coaching, and if he did, would he team up with his former OC and no, I'm not, this isn't a Rams thing, just in general though. Would he team up with his former OC and Nathaniel Hackett? That would be interesting. Another one, John Wolford. I mentioned the other day, could John Wolford become a coach? Could he be on the Rams staff? I could see that for that, but so their top choice is an NFL coach, but she doesn't have who it is. Let's see. Oh my God. People are sharing NFL rumors on our Discord. I was like, no. Yeah, I don't know. I think it does too, but he hasn't been there the last 2 years. That's something to keep in mind. He's been the Jets offensive coordinator since 2021. I'll be honest, I don't know who Bubba Ventrone is, but you seem very excited, so I'm sure they're probably qualified. Yeah, no, Kurt Warner probably isn't leaving unless it's for something big. I don't see it. I don't see, like, Kurt Warner could leave someday if, like, maybe they were going to pay him big money to be an offensive coordinator or something, but I don't know. I think he likes his job, like, the way it is. Like, that's what he wants to do. I mean, he could absolutely. I also feel like Kurt, not just Kurt Warner, but like Marshall Faulk, I think absolutely could have been a coach, but I think he liked his idea of going into like the NFL Network and everything. So, I think a lot of guys just prefer, because it's a lot of stress. And when you're retired, do you want to bring on another career with a ton of stress? I don't know. Off topic, but I'm curious to know how you think Kobe Durant would do returning punts. He's blazing fast. Powell is, but mostly a gadget guy getting touches. We need Atwell to have. Craig, it sounds like you listened to our last episode when Cam Lynch and I were talking about that. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm thinking the same way you're thinking. Kobe Durant is blazing fast, and I think he could return punts and kicks. It is a little dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Because you have a starting caliber corner, potential star power corner, and, you lose a guy like that, and, that could be something, right? But I feel like watching the playoffs, Craig, if I'm being quite honest with you, and I already said this on the podcast, so I guess I'm repeating myself, but for those of you that didn't hear, watching the playoffs, it's guys like Isaiah Pacheco, right? It's guys like Jamal Agnew, okay? I need, and Cavante Turpin, I need to see the Rams go back to their recipe. They need to have a returner. And I feel like Powell is solid, but Powell will look like amazing compared to JoJo Nats and guys before him. Okay. But I honestly think Jacoby Durant and his vision and everything, I think he'd make the most sense. And if they could do it, great. If they can't, fine. It's a dangerous job, and you don't want to run the risk you're going to injure your corner. That's why a lot of people don't like their starters out there doing that. Oh, okay. Colts special team coach. And yeah, that makes sense, because if there's a job, like somebody gets a head coaching job and they don't keep him, he becomes, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he'll probably retire after the season, I'd imagine. Yeah, I mean, I don't want the Niners to win, but I feel like they're gonna win. So I'd probably pick the Niners. I think they win the Super Bowl, so I hope I'm wrong. But I've kind of already kind of set myself up, not for disappointment. I've set myself up for the fact that I'm like expecting it. So hopefully I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong and I'm expecting something, it's going to be a pleasant surprise. Let's see here. Marshall would have been an awesome coach if he had chosen to do so. Totally agree. What free agent move do you think is going to be made this off season? I don't know. I think Mike White is certainly possible, but yeah, I mean, it really depends on who they get rid of, how much cap they have. It's a good question. It's bizarre, man. I could see him going in 1,000 different directions. We need the Doctor Strange thing where he's just like he's going through like the millions upon millions of different ways that they can beat Thanos, and then they had the one way. Like, yeah, I mean that's how I feel. It's like I would try to bring Whitworth in, not as an O-line coach, but some sort of job to help out the O-line. And McVay, no salary cap for coaches. Yeah, but he's another one. He's on TV. He's building his personal brand, and he doesn't have to work anywhere near as hard and strain himself. I agree. I that whole Bones thing, I know McVay was upset. Bones ran the it was like whatever it was, right? He ran. There it is. D'Amico Ryans has emerged as the top candidate for the Texans job. I expected that. But yeah, he ran that trick play, and like McVay was really pissed about the miscommunication, and a lot of people feel like that's why he was run out of town. I think he should just put that aside, because I mean, Bones is better than anybody that has walked through that door for special teams in quite a while. Who's the better owner at keeping their team from succeeding? Jim Irsay or Jerry Jones? Crazy to think Saturday is being definitely Jim Irsay. You know, I say this all the time. Just be happy as a Rams fan if you are, and anyone's welcome in these. So don't ever feel like if you're not a Rams fan, this isn't a place for you, because you could ask a question and I will answer it regardless of what it's about. But I'd say Jim Irsay, because never forget that Jim Irsay could have owned the Rams. The Rams were traded, right? They were traded. Like his father traded them. So he would own the Rams right now if they didn't make that trade. Keep that in mind. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate you. Kyle is going to get outcoached to even get to the Super Bowl. Look at the history on the Falcons and Niners. I'm not holding my breath on that, though. They have a wicked good defense to the point where, yeah, I'm not holding my breath. If he gets outcoached, he gets outcoached. But I'm certainly not banking on that. Jordan said that there was some friction between McVay and Dacon Millis towards the end of the year on the 11 Personnel podcast. McVay has a short leash with those guys. Yeah, it's just like, you're gone. Yeah. I mean, Dacon Millis, I don't think was very good. So, he got a Super Bowl ring out of it. He has nothing to complain about. Hello, Jake. What do we have to do to get back on track in 23? Do you think we should bring Wagner back? Oh, yeah. I mean, Wagner is signed to a 5-year deal, so he'll be back, no doubt about it. I think really they just need to find a way without gutting the roster. They need to find a way to get on the salary cap enough where they can bring back the core pieces they want to bring back, like a guy like Greg Gaines or an Ashawn Robinson. I'm not spending top dollar on bringing back Taylor Rapp, despite what PFF says, or Nick Scott. I'm worried about the interior, keeping the interior defensive line. It's allowed you to not have to draft, a ton every year. So that's where I'm at right now. I think they need to focus on the interior defensive line, bring those guys back, bring back David Edwards on the offensive line. Obviously bring back any of the offensive line free agents aside from maybe a couple. And that's kind of like where I'm at right now, at the Rams. Let's see. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely despise that team so much. I want them to get obliterated? ? That's all right. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. I mean, if you trade Jalen Ramsey and you don't even get 2 first rounders, why are you trading him? He's the best corner in football. I don't think they're going to lose Matt Gay, but I mean, it would be like a 7th rounder, if even, I voiced my opinion on it. I don't care how people feel. I don't think the comp picks are great. I'm really not impressed with them, if I'm being honest. I never have been. I think they're overrated. I think, you look and it's like, if you have a minority head coach, you have a minority coach or a executive become a GM or a head coach, you get more than you get when a guy like Von Miller, for instance, he gets signed for $20 million and, essentially, I mean, the Rams aren't getting anything for Von Miller because they signed Allen Robinson, who was $5 million less. But regardless of that, regardless of how the formula works, they'd only get a 5th round pick for him because he's been in the league for 9 years or whatever the hell it was. I think that's stupid. Another thing I think is stupid is that Austin Corbett is one of the best interior offensive linemen in all of football right now, and the Rams are getting a 5th rounder for him. I don't see how it makes any sense. I think the compensatory picks are overrated. I don't think they're valued well at all. And, I think it's to the point where I would rather just trade my player or bring him back instead of trying to get the comp picks because they've ruined the compensatory picks. I'll stand by that. It's not like baseball. Guess what? In baseball, there are teams that give up 1st round picks in baseball because they sign guys. The Yankees had to give up their 2nd and their 5th pick, a 2nd round and 5th round pick because they signed Carlos Rodon. Those picks are going to the Giants. So, I don't know. I don't agree with it. What I thought was interesting, it would never happen in the NFL. But basically J-Rod, if you guys don't know who that is, J-Rod on the Mariners won the Rookie of the Year. And so the MLB has tried to push more calling up players. So the Mariners won what is just outside of the 1st round compensatory pick. So it's right before the 2nd. They won a compensatory pick because their prospect got called up and won the Rookie of the Year award. Really bizarre stuff. But it's you play to win, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, long story short, I don't like the compensatory picks. I think the coaching, the balance picks for the minority coaching, I'm not against that entirely. But I feel like it's gotten to the point where they give out 5-6 of those a year and, there's only 2 compensatory picks for players that are going in the 3rd round. I mean, essentially compensatory picks back in the day, if you had 3 3rd round picks, that was great. I mean, how do you think the Rams, when they got Isaiah Pede and Trumaine Johnson, all those guys, how do you think they were able to do stuff like that? Not Isaiah Pede, he was a 2nd round pick, but they've had a bunch of 3rd round picks in the past. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of bothers me to an extent. Like I'll bring it up now and just, go through it with you, but I just don't. I don't really like the compensatory pick style. And I'm really curious, what do you guys think about the compensatory picks? Drop in the comment section now, and I'll read your comments, because I don't think that they're that great. I just don't. I like, I feel like there's something too straightforward with it. Like, oh, well, this guy was paid this amount, so this is how it should be. Like, no, how about this? Okay. How about, instead of just making it all about money, make it like somewhat a competitive thing. So here's the thing. If you're telling me that you can trade Carson Wentz and put together a stipulation where if he has X percentage of snaps he plays in a season, that third rounder now becomes a second round pick, then why can't you figure out in the compensatory pick formula based on talent, based on production? It's not fair that the Rams only get a 5th round pick for one of the best interior offensive linemen in football because he wasn't signed because he's a guard, right? That's what I'm getting at. So I think the compensatory pick structure sucks, personally. I think it's ridiculous. The only 3rd round picks that were awarded in the compensatory pick structure for players, there were like 5 coaches, players, Kirk and Scherf. Brandon Scherf goes from Washington to Jacksonville, and Christian Kirk goes from Arizona to Jacksonville. Another thing, those are not taken from the team. See, in the MLB, you lose picks. You lose picks if you sign free agents and they're given to the other team. That's not in the NFL. The picks are awarded for losing players. But Arizona gets a 3rd round pick for Christian Kirk, and it's like, Christian Kirk is good and he had a good year, but was he worth a 3rd round pick that we've seen in the past? The money wise, yes. Maybe production, yes. Scherf, okay, fine. Why are we only awarding 2 3rd round picks? Darius Williams was also signed. Jaguars just went out and signed everybody. Darius Williams, 4th round pick. You could say that's a little high. There's only 2 guys. There's only 2 4th round compensatory picks that are going to be awarded this time around. J.C. Jackson, who didn't even play that much, and Darius Williams. So there's 2 3rds, 2 4ths, and then there's a boatload. There's not even a boatload. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 5th rounders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 6th rounders. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 7th rounders. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think they've ruined it, to be honest with you. I think they've ruined the compensatory picks. I really believe that. I think I don't like the compensatory pick structure, and I've vocalized my thoughts on that before, but there's always people like, oh, well, it's not that bad and whatever. I think the comp picks suck, honestly. I don't think they're great. I would just, if you're not bringing back guys for it, whatever. But let me ask you this, okay? And again, I'm not against the coaching compensatory picks. I'm not. But when you only have 2 players that are getting you 3rd round picks, and then the entire 3rd round compensatory pick structure is Cleveland, San Francisco, Kansas City, San Francisco, San Francisco. You're giving out 5 coaching. So there's 5 coaching and there's 2 player. And my issue with this is, if you look, for instance, J.C. Jackson, 16.5 average annual salary, right? 16.5. And that's a 4th rounder now. But, and thank you Over the Cap for having this, in 2014, Mike Wallace, Greg Jennings, and Paul Kruger were your 3rd round picks. So let's take a look. Paul Kruger got paid $8.1 million. And he was a 3rd round compensatory pick for the Ravens. That was in 2013 or 2014. Now, 8.1 million. What does that get you? Let's see. Let's just let's check this out, right? Austin Corbett, 8.7 gets you a fifth. Austin Corbett in 2023 was paid more than Paul Kruger in 2014. And Paul Kruger's was a third round pick, and Austin Corbett's a fifth. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, Jake, inflation. This happens. This is a real thing. Yes, but how do we go from three third round compensatory picks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fourth round compensatory picks in 2014 to this year we have 2 and 2. 2015, 3 third rounders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fourth rounders. Okay, so we're starting to go down. Then 4 third rounders in 2016. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fourth rounders. 2017, you had 4 third round. Oh, no. This is wrong. 2017, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 third round picks. You had 11 compensatory picks in the third round in 2017. That's when Sean McVay became the head coach. The Rams got a third round pick for Janoris Jenkins. They got a 4th round pick for Rodney McLeod. They did not get a 7th round pick for Nick Fairley because the 32 pick limit was already maxed out. There were 11 third rounders. Olivier Vernon was the highest, right? So that was the highest pick for Miami because the Giants gave him a ridiculous deal. So get this. Olivier Vernon for the Giants. I'm going to check that out. 16.7 third round pick, the highest third round pick. Let's look at the lowest. So the lowest was Damon Snacks Harrison, $9 million in 2017. I know inflation, you could say whatever, 2014 to 2023, completely different ball game. 4 years later, and Damon Harrison's getting you a third round pick for $9 million average annual salary. Yeah, I don't know about that one. All right, let's look at 2018. Maybe it gets a little bit better. 4 third round picks and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fourth round picks. The formula is bizarre to me. So the lowest of the third round picks, Kevin Zeitler, who signed with the Giants. Let's see. The Bengals got. Sorry about that, guys. The Bengals got $12 million. So Kevin Zeitler, the Bengals got a third round pick for $12 million salary. They got a third round pick. That wouldn't even be a third round pick today. Okay. Then we go to 2019, where the Rams got Tremaine Johnson, Sammy Watkins compensatory picks. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 third rounders in 2019, not that long ago. So Kirk Cousins gets you a third round pick because it's almost assumed at this point, you know, if you get a quarterback, if you lose a quarterback, you're probably going to have the top pick, 28 million average annual, obviously, right? You're definitely going to have the top compensatory pick that year. But the lowest was Ryan Jensen, who signed with Tampa Bay from the Ravens, 10.5. And that was a third round pick. That wouldn't even be a fourth round pick this year. You see what I'm saying? This is just 2019. This is why the Rams, with their compensatory pick formula, it used to work. Because back in the day, Tremaine Johnson and Sammy Watkins would get you third round picks. And now those wouldn't even get you fourth round picks. So this is my point. Go to 2020. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 third round compensatory picks, guys. 10. The Rams got a third for Roger Saffold. Saffold was $11 million. That won't even be a fourth today. Guys, that was 2020. It was 3 years ago. All right, let's do 2021. Brady, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Byron Jones, Jack Conklin, Robert Saleh / Martin Mayhew, Brad Holmes, David Culley, and Terry Fontenot. So we have 5 players and 4 coaches. So you have the 5 players. Let's see Jack Conklin, right? What was Jack Conklin paid and what would it translate to today? So the Titans lost Jack Conklin to the Browns, I believe. So let's see here. The Titans, Conklin, $14 million would not even get you a 3rd round pick this year. And that was a 3rd round pick in 2021. And this is my point. 2022, Kenny Golladay. And this is where the production comes in. Folks, this is why I said production matters. Since this is not production weighted, there's no weighted comp picks. Detroit got a 3rd round pick in 2022 for Kenny Golladay. Have you seen the way Kenny Golladay has played since he left Detroit? What are you getting compensated for? Like, the reward was getting him off the team if he was going to play like that. Then you have Trey Hendrickson. So in 2022, you had 2 guys get you compensatory picks. Two players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coaches and general managers getting compensatory picks. That's insane to me. That's insane. Kenny Golladay with the Lions, $18 million. I think that would get him it today. I think that would be a 3rd rounder. What about Trey Hendrickson? Hendrickson, $15 million wouldn't be a 3rd rounder today. So that the next year, Hendrickson's 3rd round pick that went to the Saints last year, compensatory pick formula, wouldn't be a 3rd rounder this year. So John Johnson was a 4th round pick. And, in the past, John Johnson, for like what he ended up getting paid, which is $11.2 million, the Rams get a 4th round pick for him in 2022. But I just showed you he would have gotten him a 3rd round pick and other stuff. So that's my thoughts on the compensatory pick formula. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's been devalued in a big way. And so, yeah. Plus, if you didn't know this, if you have say, one of your free agents, right? They get like $20 million average annual. Like, we'll talk about Von Miller. So if Von Miller leaves and you have, you're going to get that pick, it's still going to be a 5th rounder because he's a veteran, whatever. But let's just ignore the veteran thing for a second. If he was going to get you a 3rd round pick at $20 million and say he's just 26 years old, if you sign a guy who is $8 million average annual, it cancels out the $20 million. Why would it do that? See, this formula is flawed. I've been saying it for years, but it's gotten even worse. And this is why I'm saying, I know everyone loves compensatory picks. Everyone talks about it. But the Rams are getting a 4th rounder for Darius Williams, starting caliber corner that was on a playoff team. The Rams are getting a 5th rounder for Austin Corbett, who's one of the best at his positions. They're getting a 6th rounder for Sebastian Joseph Day. So basically, they found a diamond in the rough at the bottom of the draft. They developed him into a stud, and they got their pick back. They didn't get a 3rd rounder or 4th rounder. Had they traded him, they probably would have gotten a 3rd or 4th rounder, or they brought him back, whatever. He would have been better than that. Can you tell me that Sebastian Joseph Day is worth a 6th rounder? No. And then lastly, Obadiah Okoronkwo, won't complain. 7th rounder for him. Good stuff. But yeah, I'm sorry. I think we're past the idea like, yeah, I shouldn't bring those guys back. We'll just get compensatory picks. That'll be our formula. No, the formula sucks. No one really talks about it as much anymore, but the formula sucks. I mean, look at the Tennessee Titans. They lose Dante Foreman to the Carolina Panthers. They don't even get a comp pick for him because it's not a weighted thing. And so they don't even get a comp pick, and basically what ends up happening is he ends up almost having 1,000 yards. So This is what happens when you have things that are just straightforward. Jaguars don't get a comp pick because DJ Chark cancels out Evan Ingram. That makes sense. I don't hate that. But, yeah, I don't know. Some of these are just stupid, though. Like, this is stupid. So, you spend $16 million on a player, you lose a guy who gets paid for $16 million and you sign a player for $5 million, it cancels out the $16 million guy. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. So, yeah, just, that's why I'm not a fan. Not a fan of the compensatory picks. I'm just not. I think the formula's stupid. They won't release the formula, so we have no idea what it truly is. It's just dumb. I don't know. I think the canceling out thing is stupid. I don't think it's worth it. So, and I think the veteran thing is dumb. Like, why the Cardinals lost Chandler Jones? They didn't sign anyone. And I'm not a Cardinals fan, but let's be real here. They lose Chandler Jones, who's $17.5 million annual salary. So they lose a guy like Chandler Jones and they only get a 5th rounder for him. Who the hell? Like, really? I don't know. It's stupid. I won't keep, beating a dead horse, but yeah, that's why I don't like the compensatory picks. That's why I think that players should be traded, or they should, start giving these guys more of an opportunity and bringing them back. But yeah, like the compensatory picks aren't the NFL has made it so you can't build your team the way the Rams were doing it with compensatory picks. I'm convinced you just really can't. They help. They're better than nothing, but I stand by that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to be worried about Stafford. Certainly. I'm not exactly confident he makes it through 17 games when he had multiple concussions and has a freaking spinal contusion or had one. Not exactly confident about that, but stranger things have happened, right? Not really sure. I could see him falling because of some of the stuff going on, but yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I wouldn't rule out anything. DK Metcalf fell almost out of the second round. Yeah. You're right. The Niners are going to have picks for Saleh this year and Martin Mayhew. So Saleh and Martin Mayhew, they're going to have Rand Carthon, D'Amico Ryans, and Mike McDaniel. It's 4 guys. 4 third-round picks. There are rumors that we could trade Ramsey, and he's not better than Sauce. The rumor was that he's not better than Sauce. I don't know. I think Jalen is still the best corner in the league. I mean, I don't know. The people that devalue Jalen are the people that say that Deion Sanders is the best all-around corner when that wasn't true because Deion Sanders couldn't tackle. Yeah, I mean, kind of going through it, my video previously in the year, I mentioned Isaiah Wynn. Taylor Lewan could be an option. I got to find my notes from that video if I can find them. Let's see. I probably won't find it. I did find it. Okay. Let's see. Who is a free agent? Tunsil's a free agent in 2024. Lester Cotton's a free agent in 2023. I liked him. Who else? Riley Reef is a free agent, veteran, 33-year-old. He played a lot of games in his career. Who else is a free agent? Andre Dillard is a free agent after this season. His 5th-year option was declined by the Eagles, so he'll be a free agent. Cam Irving of the Panthers is a free agent, veteran, immediate starter. He has flexibility to play all 5 positions on the offensive line. Isaiah Wynn, that's the last one I have. Free agent, Patriots, 26 years old. I like Wynn a lot. That's where we're at right now. Yeah, I don't know who I would want, but I'd want Win. I just don't know how realistic it is, if I'm being honest. I don't know how much he's going to cost. Well, let's look, right? Let's see it. Does he have a market value on Spotrac? See, I use both over the cap and Spotrac. I like both. I think I like Spotrac more for contracts, like over the cap more for like the compensatory pick formula they have, because it helps me understand. Let's see here. So let's go to contract. Is there a market value here? Let's see. What's the market value? Yeah, Laramie Tunsil won't be available until 2024. So, and they'll probably tag him, I would imagine. For some reason, my iPad is slow to load. So I don't know why, but I guess I can bring it up on the computer. Let's do Isaiah Wynn. Contract. All right, so of course, then you come up. Yeah, 15.4 average annual. So his market value is 5 years, $77.1 million. I don't know about that one. That's a lot. Calculated market value, that is a lot. Exactly. I mean, I think we focus so much on certain things, but don't focus enough on, like we don't focus enough on the fact that like they need a pass rush. They need help over the top. Jalen is essentially on an island, which isn't the best for him. I'm not saying he can't work on an island, but that's not their team, that's not their defense. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to trade Ryan Jensen to the Rams. I don't think they trade inside the NFC. I think they'll probably keep him too. But then you have a need at corner. So you can move him to safety, but then I feel like I'm taking the guy who's the best at his position and moving him to another position for no reason, really. Let's see. I got 119 likes here. That's updated, Scott. But I appreciate you sticking up for me. And yes, you could still smash the like if you would like to. It does help out the channel. Curious to see if the Rams move Van Jefferson this offseason, especially if they keep A-Rob and sign OBJ. Van's a free agent. He's so cheap though, so I can't see like why they would move him. That's just such a cheap deal, and he's good. So it's like, moving A-Rob is because of money. I mean, I'm sure if they had it their way, they'd probably keep everything the same because the offense, you fix the offensive line and you stay healthy and you're good, essentially. I don't think Tom Brady will be a Dolphin. I think he lives in Miami anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like with his kids, like I know what you're saying, but I don't think it's related to that. I think Tom Brady is going to end up in Vegas. I think he's going to go play with Josh McDaniels. I don't know, but he must not be ready. I don't think he is ready, but I don't know. Maybe he is. But I mean it's a lot of development, He's a guy that comes from Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And it's the international player thing is to give them an opportunity, but those guys don't have the same college coaching and everything. They didn't go through the process of, because I mean, like college football today is like a religion for most people. So, so yeah, I mean, he's still behind the 8 ball, and I feel like they're trying to catch him up essentially. And I like the program. I like the idea of the international player program. Hey, Jake, I'm excited about the MLF hire. Hope it will be good on Cam and Kyron. Do you think MLF will bring over some of the Jets free agents, like the center, if we could afford it? I think Mike White would be in the cards potentially. There's not a ton of Jets players that love MLF, but I think Mike White, they have a good rapport. I don't know. But there are definitely some players. I mean, I feel like right now I'd probably say Mike White, and then maybe their center McGovern. I like McGovern. I think McGovern's a top 10 center when fully healthy. So I think the Jets need him back, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they went in the draft and looked at, Jarrett Patterson, or they looked at somebody like that. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, McGovern could definitely make sense, Joakim. That's a good, name there. I actually would prefer McGovern over the guys that are currently on the Rams roster. At center, of course. CMC would not be as productive or look the same if the Rams got him. Facts. Probably would have gotten hurt too, knowing our luck. If we keep Ramsey, we should move him to safety because he doesn't have the quickness anymore to play. I disagree with that. It's a lot harder to play corner when you can't generate pass rush, and guys can just sit there all day and pick you apart. I think Jalen's going to surprise a lot of people, I think, next year, because I think there are way too many people that are talking about him falling off a cliff, and I don't think his play is really falling off at all. I still think he's the best in the league at what he does, and that's my thoughts on that. Is there any chance we could get Hopkins and trade Robinson for him with a first? I'm going to say this now. The Cardinals aren't trading Hopkins to the Rams, but I also wouldn't trade a first rounder. I want to use that 2024 first rounder. If the season goes haywire again, Stafford gets hurt, the offensive line struggles. Like, if it's another year like last year, I can't sit through another year like last year and know that I'm not getting a first round pick again. So if they do decide to trade it away, it better be for a guy like Brian Burns, because if they do trade it away and they're bad, like at least Brian Burns is a long-term asset. If they trade it away for DeAndre Hopkins, who's in his 30s, I'd be furious. I'd be absolutely livid. I think you got to keep your first round pick at this point. I'm using the 2024 first. I'm using it to develop a package to trade up and get my quarterback of the future. That's what I'm doing. I love Stafford. I'm not pushing Stafford out the door. There's no reason why you can't start preparing for the future after him, because the injuries do change. And that's a thing that is fair to discuss. The injuries change your outlook. You could think, okay, we signed him to a 5-year deal. He's good. Yes, if he stays healthy, he's good. But this guy was banged up a hell of a lot more before he came to the Rams with Detroit. Now he has the concussions. He's opened up Pandora's box with that. He had the contusion of his spine. Guys, there is always in the back of your mind when stuff like that happens, this guy might not be playing that much longer. And so for me, the 2024 first round pick should only be on a quarterback. Period. Should only be on the future. And it doesn't only have to be that. Like if you find your guy, in the first round and you draft a guy with just that pick, great. But if you have to trade up with that pick and use other picks, I'm also fine with that too. I think there are a lot of fans that want Caleb Williams. Well, if you want Caleb Williams, that 2024 pick needs to be a thing, because you have to think about it in terms of this. A team like the Bears getting the number 1 overall pick this year, they wouldn't trade with the Rams. I've been asked, could the Rams trade up and get a Bryce Young, or could they get CJ Stroud? No, because the Bears wouldn't be able to trade down. They'd be trading out entirely of day one. They want a day one player. So in order to be in the game, in order to have these conversations, you have to have your first round pick. You're not going to be able to I don't care how much you give up. You're very rarely going to be able to trade a second round pick and move up to get to number 1 overall. Very rarely. That's a lot of trade points. That is just not very likely. So that's my thought process on that, is that you have to hold on to that 2024 first round pick, because there's a good chance that's going to be your quarterback of the future. Stafford could play the entire rest of his deal. That's totally fine. But we can't just act like Stafford's destined to play the rest of his deal and it's not going to be any sort of issue, right? I mean, let's be honest here. He might not be as old as Brady. He might not be as old as Rodgers. But Matthew Stafford, make no mistake about it, is banged up. He's a banged up player. He gets banged up a lot, and he's played through it. It is going to shorten his career, I think. I think it's very real. It's a very real possibility that the damage has been done in Detroit, and his career was always destined to be shortened, as sad as that is. And, I feel like it's better, you're better safe than sorry to get out in front of that. Go get your guy in the first round next year. If you love him, if you don't like any of the quarterbacks, don't do it. But next year seems to be a great class. And I think you make that deal, make it happen, So, I mean, that's my thought process on the whole thing. It's why I'm holding on to it. He's going to be 35 in 2 days, folks. He turns 35 on January 29th. So the Rams, he'll be 39 at the end of this deal. He's 36. He'll be 35. He'll be 35 in 2 days. So he'll be 35. He'll be 36 right before the draft next year. So say he has a good year, but the Rams don't have the greatest year, whatever. They're picking kind of like when they traded up to get Jared Goff, whatever. They trade up, they get Caleb Williams. They get Caleb Williams, 2024. Stafford is 36 years old. They have Caleb Williams, then 37. Stafford plays until he's 37. Then he retires, or there's an out. He could even do this. He could play. They get Caleb in 2024. He sits the bench 2024. He sits the bench in 2025. He sits the bench in 2026, and then Stafford is a free agent in 2027, decides to retire. Or you could get him, and Stafford, is the starter in 2024, and things look good, and then 2025 he's a starter, but then the Rams have a potential out in 2026. So that the out in 2026 would only incur $12 million in dead cap. So I mean that's a real thing here. So going into the 2026 season, the Rams could trade Stafford away and save $38.5 million in 2025 cap space and incur only $12 million in dead cap in 2025 and 2026. And my thought process instantly goes, oh, well, I feel like Stafford loves LA, and I feel like obviously trading him away seems weird, right? But if he wanted to be traded and he wanted to finish his career with Detroit and potentially at this point in time, you know, Jared Goff's contract will be up and whatnot, unless they sign him to a long-term deal. I think Jared Goff is going to get a 2-3 year deal. This would be right around the timeline Jared Goff's contract could be up, and they decide between bringing back Jared Goff or bringing back Stafford, and they choose to bring back Stafford because they have a really nice core group. And now you're talking in 2026, Matthew Stafford going back to the Lions to finish out his career with a playoff Super Bowl caliber team. And, you know, the Rams do good by him, and then they have Caleb Williams come in, and he's the starter for the rest of, you know, however long. So I could see that scenario. I'm not saying it's incredibly likely, but I could see that. The other option is Arch Manning. I've brought it up multiple times. I think the Rams, in the back of Sean McVay's mind and other, you know, people in that organization's mind, they look at a guy like Arch Manning. You ride it out with Stafford, and then after Stafford, you go out, you try to get Arch Manning, you know, from Texas. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. There are also other guys that are going to pop up. I mean, let's not act like Joe Burrow, you know, his emergence is something we all saw coming. You know, it wasn't like people were all like, oh, I can't wait to draft Joe Burrow. No one knew who he was. He was a transfer from Ohio State. He goes to LSU and just blows up in 2019. No one knew who he was. So let's not like forget that, you know, before you go and say, oh, well, you know, it's definitely going to be Caleb Williams. That's not always the case. Drew Allar with Penn State. Look out for him. Drew Allar. Look out for Jalen Daniels with my Kansas Jayhawks. If you don't believe me, go and watch his game against Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. Fantastic game. He had like 6 touchdowns, I think it was over 500 yards passing. Dual threat quarterback. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of different options. And there's probably guys that we don't even know about right now that are going to be an option someday. So things change. But you know what else changes? This is a cool little segue now that I think about it. You know what else changes? All the time. Guys that are available. I mean, just look. Who thought Tyrann Mathieu was just going to up and be available? Who thought Bobby Wagner was going to get cut, right? Like these cap casualties come out of nowhere. And it's why when you talk about free agency, you talk about what the Rams are doing and all of that, we don't have a clue because things change. Things open up. Opportunities arise. And so that's the thing that, you know, I think moving forward, you need to be keeping that in mind. The Rams still value compensatory picks at a level that I don't understand. So they would probably be interested in, you know, testing out that water, because here's the thing. They did not have to pay for signing Bobby Wagner. They didn't have to take any of their picks away, you know, their comp picks, because he wasn't part of the formula, because he was released. So they can sign him and he doesn't count. It's only free agents that count towards the formula. That's why Clay Matthews didn't count. Actually, Clay Matthews did count. It's why Eric Weddle didn't count. Eric Weddle, Bobby Wagner did not count against the compensatory pick formula. So that's also something to keep in mind. Could very well see a lot of that. Could see some, I mean, that's, another thing there. You know, you could see, you know, these guys getting let go and they want to go and play for a contender. They want to play in LA before their season, their career expires. There you go. So, yeah, I like Davis Mills. It really depends on what happens there, but I could see Mills as well. I know people have mentioned that in the past, and you know, I kind of like that idea. So, but yeah, I'll tell you right now. I don't care who agrees with me or not. I feel like it may not have been the entire reason the Rams drafted Jared Goff, but I think a big reason, the big tiebreaker, because I know that the organization was split on Goff and Wentz. I think a big reason the Rams drafted Jared Goff was that he's from LA. He's from California, essentially. He'd be the California kid. He'd be marketable. But let's not forget, while your goal is to obviously win Super Bowls, your job is to win. Your job is also to build a franchise, build a team, build a fan base, and all of that. And so I feel like what was more marketable, the kid from, North Dakota State, or the kid that was a California kid, the golden boy from, Cal Berkeley. And so, I felt like that was kind of let's be honest here. You don't think that played any sort of role? So my point in bringing that up is, well, Caleb Williams played, football at the stadium the Rams used to play football in. A lot of Rams fans are fans of Caleb Williams. A lot of Rams fans want Caleb Williams. There are some Rams fans that want Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but I'll tell you, one guy is going to be an NFL top prospect, and the other, I don't know if he's going to get drafted. So I don't think it's not just a thing that, I like USC more than UCLA. It's that one is clearly far and away an NFL quarterback prospect, a top one, and the other guy may or may not get drafted. So that's my thoughts there. But the point is, let's be honest, you guys would want Caleb Williams. A lot of people say Caleb or bust, like Jay is saying right now in the comment section. I think it's likely. I think there's a serious, thing here where, the Rams are going to monitor Stafford. And if they start to see him dip off at all, and it's hurting the team, then yeah, they might have to make a move. And, it'll be sad to see him go, but just keep that in mind. Like, it's certainly possible. This isn't one of those things, like, he's not fully healthy, guaranteed, won't get hurt. This is one of those things where we started to see him get hurt now, and it's a little concerning. So, personally, I don't think you get rid of Stafford, but I do think you draft a quarterback in 2024. I'll leave it at that. But I think that's going to do it. I might be back later tonight, might have another video or two, whatever. But that's going to do it for now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to check out my sponsor link in the description below for Mint Mobile if you need, a wireless phone plan for as low as $15 a month. And be sure to check out Aura if you're worried about people that are putting your data on the dark web, because they will literally block it like an offensive lineman. So again, thank you guys so much. And you guys take care. Later, folks. Being a fan is expensive. You have to buy tickets to see your team. You have to buy gear to represent your team. And you have to buy cable packages just to even watch your team. Something you could do to save money to even afford those tickets this year is switch to Mint Mobile. And that's who I'm partnering with for today's video. I know you've heard of Mint Mobile before because you've seen those awesome Ryan Reynolds ads about this service. But let me just tell you how awesome their service really is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month. And you don't sacrifice any coverage, data, or speed with them. They are built on the largest 5G network, and they cut out the middleman, so they cut your costs down so you don't have to go to the annoying wireless store that you really don't want to go to. Switching to Mint is extremely easy, and it takes 15 minutes. They use digital eSIM cards for immediate activation right from home. And the best part is, if you don't have a phone that is eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a SIM card without charge. All mobile plans include nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint will also show you how much data you use per month and recommend plans that will save you money. So instead of spending all that money on your current phone plan, you can switch to Mint Mobile today using my link, mintmobile.com/JKB. That's mintmobile.com/JKB, which you can always find in the description as well, to get premium wireless starting at $15 per month and be able to afford those game tickets you've been dying to buy.